All right, so we are joined from the dairy state of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, by my friend Desiree Cocroft, speaker, author of the book Get Your Life Now, business coach, life coach, entrepreneur. And we thank you so much for joining us. This is our personal finance class here at Velma Jackson High School. We're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County schools, including my good friend, Coach Robin Mercer over at Madison Central, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. So thank you for taking some time out of your extremely busy schedule to be with us today.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure.
Now, but we obviously want to talk about all the things that you preach on in your content, and about just the things that you've seen. But let's go back to the beginning. You're originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but you graduated from one of the most prestigious HBCUs in the country, at Hampton University. So just tell
Yes.
us about what drove you to Hampton, and
Yeah.
what like a great HBCU like Hampton have to offer.
I love that. So I am a first generation college student. I was in a pre-college program when I was in high school. It was actually at Marquette. So every summer they would take us on college tours, and I was in a college tour that was on the East Coast. We visited Howard, we visited Morgan State, we visited North Carolina A&T, but Hampton was the one that spoke to me when I got to the campus. I love water. I know I'm all the way in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but we're next to the Great Lakes. And so I really love being next to water. It seems so peaceful. And I really love the traditions that they have. There is a piece of grass that you can't walk on until you graduate. And they're like this whole spooky thing about if you step on it, you might not graduate. So it was kind of like I was looking forward to being a part of that tradition and being a part of just the environment that they had. It was kind of like one that felt like it was in the cut, so to speak. So it felt like you were just away from it all and you got a chance to just like really experience college life. So, and it was small, it was a less than 6,000 students in undergrad. So it was actually a really small college experience. So it made you feel like you were at home, really family like. So I really enjoyed it. But I actually, to be very transparent, I went to Marquette first. I went to Marquette for 2 years and transferred because I had more state financial aid to help me go to college. And so, because my parents didn't go to college and they didn't have the dollars to help me, they said, well, stay here and take the money that you're able to get at Marquette. And then, in 2 years, if you still want to transfer and see if you can get, a better financial aid package. And so I was able to get scholarships to go to Hampton through the United Negro College Fund. And so that
Yeah.
helped me when I transferred to have money to go to Hampton. I still had to take out a few loans, but I was able to have way more than I did if I would have went the first year. So I transferred and went there with to apply with their 5 year MBA program, and so I did that and was able to get my undergrad in management and then my MBA after transferring from Marquette. So that's my experience. Oh, you're on mute.
All right, sorry about that. Had a little
Yeah,
technical difficulty. I had somebody
it's
come to
all
my
good.
door. But yeah, Hampton, one of the finest HBCUs in the country. And I think it's important. I always mention this when I talk about kids wanting to make their college decisions, because
Hmm.
obviously, I'm not about telling kids what to do. I think it's important to know all the
Sure.
options. I have so many kids tell me, I went to a black high school. I don't want to go to a black college. Oh, well,
Hmm.
HBCU stands for historically black. That does not mean
Yes,
exclusively black. And
absolutely.
to put all black Americans in a microcosm as the same, I don't think is
Hmm.
fair, because we have great
Absolutely.
HBCUs here in Mississippi. And even
Hmm.
though they are majority black enrollment, the diversity of thought, the diversity of background,
Absolutely.
so great and can really be a great experience. So I encourage everybody to at least consider some of the
Yes.
great HBCUs that we have in this country.
Yeah, and I've actually because I've had the experience of being at Marquette, which it was positive in different ways, and being at Hampton, I do not regret my transfer at all. It's the networking. It was the extra layer of like love and care. It really felt family oriented. And then I just feel like the access to, like you said, it gave me a different perspective. I went to an all black high school. Even though you think about it, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, most people don't think like that exists. But a majority of my high school was African American, like 80% African American, and then it trickled. And so, like for me, I went to Marquette, and it was a culture shock for me. But I did have a very like loving community that was there, but there was still a matter of disconnect when I was there. But I didn't feel like I didn't experience what some people experience on campuses when they're the only in some instances. But when I went to Hampton, it was like automatic, like family, and it was, you know, Black people from just different countries too. Like, so it was just like a really great, you know, experience, and it just made me think differently about the intersections of who we are as a people, and not just one way. And so it was really cool. It was a really great experience. I loved it.
That's awesome. Well,
Hmm.
I know one thing that you really speak on, and we'll obviously share all your social media because you're a great social media follow, is you really talk about how to transform your life. You talk about
Hmm.
self-mastery and confidence. And, and something you mentioned in one of your videos is you talked about, look, you can write the great cover letter, which we just done. We're getting ready to write the great resume. We're going to talk about interview skills. We've talked
Yes.
about how, then when we get done here in a little while, they're all going to give presentations to work on their speaking skills, which is all important.
Okay. Yes.
But what you talk about is, how do you get your mind right in order to know that
Hmm.
you deserve these things?
Yes.
And we just watched the clip where you said the problem is you feel you make your excellence the standard for now instead of expecting more. So
Yeah.
just talk about your platform and some of the
Hmm.
things that, and something I always talk about, and you can look this up. This isn't an opinion. Black women right now in America are the highest educated portion of the population. So the
Yeah.
opportunities are there that may not have existed before. So
Yeah.
how did they, they can have the great resume, they can have the great cover letter, they can nail an interview, but how do they keep from bogging down themselves mentally and keep from achieving that greatness?
Yeah, this is good. So I'm trained, highly trained in neuroscience, in the way our brain works. And so it's been so fascinating to learn these things as I've been, you know, moving through my career. And one thing is for sure is that there's a gap. I talk about the gap. So there is a gap between what we desire and who we are showing up like. And so I always talk about like if you desire something different, you don't get to be the same person. You don't get to operate as the same person. And so there is going to be a level of discomfort. And I think that we're not taught that. There's going to be a level of discomfort that you're going to experience when you decide, I want to show up as this next level of who I am. And that discomfort is going to come with the fear of what people are going to think about me. Am I not being genuine to who I am? You know, what are people going to say? Am I a fraud? You know, self-sabotage and imposter syndrome are real things. And so I'm
Absolutely.
really big on like what are the areas that we believe we have a gap in if we're serious about it so that we can start being the person that is aligned to who we say and what we say we want. And so for instance, if I decide that I want to be a runner, so if I want to be a runner, if I want to be a marathon runner, and maybe right now I don't do it at all. Like I don't run at all. If I decide I want to do that, I have to close the gap because right now I'm not running at all. And so all the things in my life probably don't even match a marathon runner. I'm probably not eating the way people that run marathons. I probably don't have the right shoes. I probably have like regular sneakers that people don't run in. And I'm like, so you have to start aligning your life to the thing that you say you desire. And so if I desire to be a marathon runner, okay, I need to not only look like one, feel like one, act like one, I need to think like one, right?
There
I
you
need to
go.
talk like one. And so that's the same thing when people are creating their resume. So I help a lot of senior leaders get promotions. I help them make transitions in their career. I help people that own million-dollar, multiple million-dollar businesses. I help them create a better revenue in their businesses, but also just a better way in doing life. And a lot of times when I'm working with them, they know how to get stuff done. So I imagine the students you're talking about and we're working with, they know how to get stuff done. I was that kid that know how to get stuff done. So it was nothing to get stuff done. It was like, I know how to do this. But that mental shift of I am enough and not working so much to prove myself and really stepping into this place of like, I am already deserving of the things that I'm going after. And it's different than entitlement because I think entitlement is like, you need to give me this and I don't have to do anything for it. But it's like, well, what if I already was the person that was deserving of it? That has
Yeah.
a different energy. So you walk with a different sense of power that you're not proving anything. I'm telling you, I work with people that have done. amazing things in their life and they still think they have to prove something to someone. And that can boggle you. I actually saw this interview with Issa Rae and Kevin Hart recently that was really inspiring. I posted about it on LinkedIn. But it was about Issa Rae being being as popular as she is. I'm sure she's like a multimillionaire by now and all the things. But she was just sharing with Kevin Hart how she is still afraid to ask for help. And so it actually helped me because it's like, oh my goodness, this person that I see from a distance that I think has accomplished so many things is still scared to ask for help. And she actually has access to people to ask for anything that she wants and they probably would do it for her. And so I just think about like what happens so if that happens to her, then we are not immune to the feeling of insecurity. We are not immune to the feeling of not being enough. So it is a muscle that we have to work on. It's a practice. We have literally practiced being the kind of person we are. So when people say I'm shy, so I'm sure you get people that I know they're doing interview skills. I already know, oh, I'm shy. I don't like talking about myself. Like this is what people say. I don't like bragging. I don't like any of that. Well, my advice to them or what I would say to them is like you just haven't practiced.
Yeah.
Because when you practice talking about yourself, when you practice believing in your skill set and believing in who you are, and you do it often enough, it's not going to feel like a force, but it's always going to feel like a force initially because you haven't done it. And then, so I'm always a big advocate for just start practicing. It's kind of like when you've never done a skill before. So there's this book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And he talks about identity change is the highest form of habit change. Like when you shift who you believe you are, you're going to change your habits. So if you envision yourself as being, okay, this person that has this internship at this company, or I'm the person that is interviewing people on the football field because that's what I want to do. Like if you see yourself as that person, you get to like take on the habits of that person, and it's always going to feel like a weirdo situation. In the beginning. You're gonna feel like a weirdo. It's gonna feel awkward. It's gonna be all the things, just like when you try anything else. But that's why we have to trick our brain and be like, you know what? I'm still doing this anyway. Even if until it starts feeling regular, I'm gonna keep doing it until it's normal.
Yeah, and something I did on that even started with the writing because when we wrote these cover letters, I was saying, because they were, and I know, they're in high school. This is all new to them, so I wasn't expecting them to be an expert. But we talked about when you write a cover letter and you put in writing, that's where it starts. Because instead of
Mm-hmm.
putting, I would appreciate if you called me or please call me. No, you be confident and say, I look forward to hearing from you. Let them know that
100.
you're expecting it. When you walk in
Mm-hmm.
a room, small things make an impact on people. Walk in a room and
Mm-hmm.
introduce yourself. Be
Mm-hmm.
confident. And look,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, we're going to do these presentations here soon. It's not about trying to scare people, but it's about having that confidence to know that when you get up in front of somebody, you're going to let them
Yeah.
know that what you're selling is the best and that you're the best.
Yes, 100%. And I think I love what you just said too, because when you get in front of a group and it's something new for you to start speaking from a place of confidence, I know what goes off in my head, like, oh, people probably think I'm a weirdo, or people think I think too much of myself. Like, there's a lot of talk track. And plus, we look at people's verbal cues. And so I like this saying that don't be afraid of their faces. Like, don't be afraid of the faces of people when you're speaking and you're wondering if they're accepting what you're saying. So you're almost looking for a head nod. You're looking for a smile. You're looking for a lift. And that's cool too, because I mean, I do think that there is something about looking at verbal cues, like when you're doing public speaking, looking at verbal cues to like get a sense of where your audience is. But I think that sometimes we can look at verbal cues so much that it can paralyze us. So, especially when you're doing something new. I also believe that if you before you go start talking, like if before I do present, so I've spoken in front of thousands of people before, and I get nerve wracked every time. It don't matter how many people I'm talking to. What I will say is that you have to do the energy work before you get out there. And so something that can help your like nervous system calm down is like I like to journal, but journaling things about myself, I say like you are enough. They asked you to come here to speak.
Yeah.
So the fact that they asked you to do this means that like they want to hear what you have to say. And so like those things help me, but I also do like power poses. Like I have a playlist that I listen to kind of like get me like geeked up and excited just so that I can have that energy because a lot of times you get what you focus on. If you're on the stage, you're about to go on the stage and you're focusing on, oh my goodness, I'm so nervous. People are not going to like what I have to say. They're going to think I'm stupid. They're going to think all that. That's what you're going to get because your perception almost projects the energy that that's what you believe, and you're going to get that. You're more likely to get what you are focusing on. So if you start focusing on like, oh, they are going to be so excited to hear what I have to say. Everything that I'm saying is really going to be valuable to them. Like this is going to like change. This is going to change everything when I come into the room. You're more likely to get a response that is like that because your energy is going to project that. And so I really feel like it's something about getting your energy together, like getting your energy together before you go out, like create enthusiasm. And I know some people are funny about like, well, it's kind of like if I'm sad, I want to be sad, but I can decide I don't want to be sad right now. And I can like switch my energy. And so it's like if you're nervous, find something that's going to help you decide I'm not nervous anymore. Like maybe you watch something, maybe you listen to something, maybe you have a person that makes you laugh or whatever, but like shake it off so that you can like have a different disposition about yourself.
Absolutely. Now, before I get to their questions, one thing I did definitely want to talk about, which I know
Mhm.
you speak on as well, is like I said, I have one young man in here with me today, and he's a awesome kid. He
I love
doesn't say
it.
a whole lot to me, but he still does a great job. He's real quiet. But I
Mhm.
have some young ladies in here, which are extremely intelligent, extremely talented. All of them have told me that their dreams are to go to college to pursue
Mhm.
their next career goal, which is great, and we want them to make the best decision.
Yes.
However, when it comes to being in college, the importance of networking is just as important as the importance of academics. So when they
Mhm.
get to college, or when he goes to college, he hasn't told me if he wants to, but no matter where you go, the importance of getting your name out there, because you can have a 4.0, but if you're not involved in anything on campus, if you're not using the resources to get your name out there and have people already know you, it's going to
Yeah.
be tough to use that confidence to move up within these careers. So no
Mhm.
matter where you go to school or what path you take, why is it so important to get comfortable networking within your field?
So, there's a saying that says it's not about your net worth, it's about your network, or your network is your net worth. And so, meaning that the people that you know is what helps you be able to contribute to your net worth. I'm in like a business mastermind, and someone was saying having 40,000 people in your network is more valuable than the 2 degrees they already have. And not that he said you shouldn't go to college because he obviously did, because that's a part of his network. But his point was that the people that you know can create so much value for you. So, for instance, one of the contracts that I had that's like a 20,000 something dollar contract is because someone I know referred me to it. Um, and then I have people that I know from college that still refer business to me because they knew me from college. Or when I go back to homecoming every year. Every time I go back to homecoming, I'm connected with people that I went to college with, but I'm also connecting with people that just went to Hampton. They didn't go there when I went there, and we'll talk about what we do, where we are now, and like it's like immediate connection. And so, like you said, whatever path people choose, you choose, but it doesn't exempt you from networking. My thing is this: if you're not getting results in your life that you want, then you get to do something different. If you're getting the results that you want, then don't worry about networking. If you have everything you need, don't worry about talking about anybody. But if there's other things that you want, you need to open your mouth and start talking about talking to people about what you want. It's almost that whole, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. It really
There you
is.
go.
Like when I tell people, so I don't know if you saw this post, but I'm doing this 900 ask challenge.
Wow.
So I've been challenging myself over the last 30 days to talk to 30 different people every day.
Wow.
And I know it's really, I'll post the
That's
update.
tough even in a big city. Wow.
No, it is. And so it is a challenge. I was like, why did I come up with this? It is a challenge, but it has really pushed me to make myself ask for the things I need. And not in a salesy way, but genuinely in a support way, which is a different energy than it's like, hey, buy my stuff. So from a business perspective, I'm asking people that are most likely my customer, like, hey, Are you looking for a service right now? I would love to be your coach or what have you. I'm talking to my old clients like, hey, do you have any referrals? Because we did such great work together. Or is there anybody you would refer me to? I'm talking to people that do similar work as me, like, hey, do you see any partnership opportunities? Like, let's have a conversation about partnership. So those are like my three business buckets. But then I also have a nonprofit organization. So when I'm talking to people and I know they're a better fit for that, I'm asking them, hey, would you mind donating this year? This is what we have going on. Or I'm asking, are you interested in being on our board? Are you interested in volunteering? So I have like six things that I can choose from in my head to ask any given person about. And I'm doing it via text, via email, in person, or just passing people by. And already, like, I got confirmed to be a speaker at a conference next year, just talking to
Wow.
people. I'm on the list of somebody's conference to speak at because it's not confirmed. And then I had a potential client reach out to me to do work with them. Like, this is all about ask. And so when I'm going to different people asking for things, this is the reason that we're doing it, is that just making sure that I'm doing it from a place of like, if I'm doing these asks, it's going to get me closer than if I would try to do the work myself. I'm like really big on like doing everything yourself is only going to get you so far. Like at some point you need to ask. And I feel like
There
this
you go.
happens a lot with people that are used to being independent. And so it may be like for me, like living in a household where my parents were both working class, I didn't want to bother them. I never wanted to bother them, so I didn't ask for a lot. I tried to be super independent so that I didn't have to bother them with anything because I knew they were working hard. They were like, Desiree, go to school and get it together, that whole thing, right? And so I'm like, I don't want to bother them. But it came into adulthood. So if I could tell any teenager something now, it'd be like, ask for what you need. Like get the help that you need. Like don't hold what you hold back because it's going to serve you well when you're in college. It's going to serve you well in your adulthood to not be afraid to ask and step out there so that you can get what you need because you otherwise you're going to be suffering in silence and that's no fun.
Yeah. Well, I do want to get to these questions. I want to get to all of them because these are all
Go
really
ahead.
good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This first one is Jasmine McBride. She's in 10th grade. Her dream is to go to Georgia State University in Atlanta.
Okay.
But she asked, what was your major at Hampton?
It was business management, and I did the 5-year MBA program. So I did the management and management emphasis for my MBA.
Now, she did have a second question, and I love this. She asked, what was your first building block that helped you become the person you are today?
My first job when I was 17 was to be a teen mentor to middle school kids, and I had to facilitate a curriculum every summer. That was like decision making, responsibility, all of that, and it made me know that I wanted to be an entrepreneur and I wanted to do stuff with youth. So that was like that helped me. I mean, and now I'm a coach. I don't do as much with youth. Like this is like that's why I was like, yes, I would do this because this is definitely my heart. I do this a lot. I used to do it more back in the day, but I knew back in the day I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I loved helping people like be their best person.
Love it. I
Mhm.
like this one. This is Desiree. She's a junior member of our band. Wants to go to Mississippi State University.
Okay.
And she asked, what is your best piece of advice to give someone that is struggling with their leadership skills?
Yeah. So it's a couple things. So if I said if you were struggling with leadership skills, leadership can be really vague, but if I was to I would want you to get really clear what that means. So is it like I'm afraid to speak up to people? Like make yourself get clear. You know what I mean? Like on what it is. So is it like am I afraid to speak up to people? Is it I'm afraid to tell people what I need? Am I afraid to ask? Like all of that is a part of leadership skills. Am I not giving people clear direction? So getting really clear about that is going to be helpful. And then once you get clear, you can think about like, okay, what would it look like if I started doing this instead? Right. And I like to get it in our heads first. Like, what would it look like if I could start doing this instead? So my example to myself is that I've been overcoming people pleasing most of my life. I didn't
There
like
you go.
conflict. And so as a leader, it's like that's actually not helpful. to be a people pleaser, because you end up saying yes to a lot of stuff that's not helpful. And so I don't know if that's your issue, but I just want to use that as an example. And so because I was aware that I'm afraid of conflict, why am I afraid of conflict? I like being liked. I don't know what to say to make sure people understand where I'm coming from, and I don't want to hurt their feelings. Being aware of that is just like, well, how could I have both? Like, what would it look like for me to say things to be clear and not hurt them? It's possible, but it makes you get creative about how you approach a thing. So getting clear about what it is, and then that'll help you approach it.
Absolutely not. I like this one. This is Micaiah Luckett. She's a junior member of our volleyball team, basketball team, and one of the top track athletes in Mississippi. So she wants to be a college athlete. So she hasn't made her college choice yet, but we're sure she'll get some offers to be an athlete. But she asked, how would you describe your coaching style?
Ooh, my coaching style is really direct. I like to stop playing games. I'm also very holistic. People tend to come to me with X, like one thing. And I'm always looking for like the root cause. Like, well, what is the root? Just like this leadership question. It's like, well, is it leadership, or is it that I'm afraid that people are going to be mad at me? So that's what's causing me to be that way. And so I always like to look for the root cause. And so I'm typically going to ask questions to help my client discover what the root cause is. And usually that unlocks everything for what they actually want to have. So that's typically my style.
All right, I got time for two more. This is Zakiria Chambers. She's in 10th grade. And I love this one because she goes, obviously, you see a lot of resumes. And we're about to write one. So, what are some common mistakes that you see people make on their resumes?
Oh, when they don't quantify what they've actually done. So I like people to quantify.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh,
Thank
okay.
you.
You're welcome. Look, I didn't even know
Somebody
I was
else said it
reading your
besides
mind.
me. There you
Listen,
go.
you got to quantify. Otherwise, it's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Specific
It's super
numbers,
vague.
specific dates.
Yep.
Specific numbers, specific dates all the time.
Outcomes. People want to know outcomes. And it needs to be words that are action words and words that people resonate with the job description. So if my job description isn't talking about it, I can't make the connection as easy. And if I'm skimming resumes, I need to make a clear connection from my job description to your resume that, oh, this is the person.
Yeah, don't put because I always say you put your good at something. I'm like, good according to who?
Mm-hmm.
That is
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
is such a red flag. So just and
Yeah.
we're gonna get a lot of practice. So I'm confident in them, and but I'm glad she asked that. Now
Yeah.
I got time for one
Keep
more. This is
going.
Kalia
Yeah.
Bullet. This is Kalia Bullet. She's in 10th grade, and I love this question. She goes, "I'm only 16, so obviously I'm limited on where I can work. So
Mm.
even if I'm limited on where I can work, how can I make myself a better employee as I'm getting work experience?"
Yeah, so you can make yourself a better employee if you like to read. I think reading is a big thing. Like I'm a personal development nerd, so I would pick, some books on communication. Like some books on communication would be really good for you. And some books on like not just generic communication, but speaking. But then some books that would be helpful would be like working with others, like something around working with others. So anything with communication, working with others. And when I say leadership, if you did pick a leadership book, it would be more on how to be influential as a leader, like creating influence. But that could be in a communication book too. I think that could be really helpful.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and then I think something that's important too. My first job was at Kroger when I was 16 years old, the grocery store,
Hmm.
and I was
Yeah,
not going to work there the rest of my life. I knew I was limited
sure.
on
Hmm.
but because I made it a point to be a good employee. One of the managers was a reference for me as I was going through
Of
college.
course.
The
Yeah.
networking aspect of things like that, I think, go overlooked. And he is
Yep.
still a huge resource for me all these years later, and I haven't worked for him in over 20 years.
I
So
love
you can
that.
make those impacts as a teenager now with people that you work for. That doesn't mean and you know what? Most of those people know you're not going to be there forever. But if you
Yeah.
show that you're trying to better yourself, it is amazing the networking that you can
Hmm.
have as a high school student.
Yeah. Yeah. Always offer to help more. Yeah, that's good.
Now, we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much
Of
for joining us
course.
today. But a couple things before we go. First of all, DesireeCocroft.com is your website. You have your book on there. Great social media follow. I always preach about finding positive people on social media to follow. Find some people that'll put something positive in your life. So tell us
Mhm.
where we can find you on social media.
I'm most likely on LinkedIn. That's my happy place. I'm also on YouTube. I'm on TikTok, but I haven't been as consistent on my TikTok as recently. But you'll see some good
Well,
stuff on there.
awesome. Now, the last thing before we go, like we said, I've got a lot of talent. I've got a lot of intellect. I've got a lot of gifted people in this room with me right now, but they have to be the ones at the end of the day to make things happen. So as
Mhm.
obstacles come, as they transition from high school to their next step, as they start moving into these careers that are their dream, what is the main thing they can do to stay at the top of their mental game to show that they are the answer?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that they can do is visualization. I think it's hard to see your future self when everything in your world doesn't look like what you see your future being. And I think the biggest thing is like visual, always keeping a picture of what you desire in front of you, visually or written, and revisiting it on a regular so that you see yourself at the end and not worrying about the process you're in.
Awesome. Well, I kept it right on the exact amount of time I wanted to do. So again, we thank you so much for joining us all the way from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, by way of the DMV. Desiree
Yeah.
Cocroft, we thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
I'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Okay.